Good afternoon, dear traders. Today is Wednesday, December 3rd. I present to your attention another market review for Forex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. Alright, so let's perhaps start with gold quotes. Let me remind you that the weekly time frame actually gave us an interesting and notable signal bar for a potential upward move last week. However, gold quotes have already surged upward since the beginning of this week and have updated the monthly highs, which of course doesn't really give us any leeway for entry, any pullback moves or similar opportunities, and so on. The instrument has consolidated ahead of the news. The bullish trend is clearly pronounced. It's carefully and thoughtfully trading breakouts. Yesterday, you could have taken advantage of one of them. Just as I showed in the previous review, a long breakout, its test, and for those who trade one-to-one, let's get started. At 2000, they already have 2900, and at night it was 4600, something like that. What's particularly interesting here is that the instrument actually left a relatively small area between yesterday's and today's American highs, but there's also a significant amount of liquidity below. Plenty of liquidity, in fact. If you are a buyer, unfortunately this kind of situation can happen, but you can still rely on this long breakout to try. And your long position happiness in this kind of setup with a stop placed at yesterday's low, if that low is broken, then they'll likely drop further, and these lows as well. Accordingly, there's no point in holding below them. The euro-dollar pair is rising just as I promised yesterday. By the way, I also got involved in this instrument. I'm currently waiting for a potential breakout of last week's high, as well as a breakout of the November highs. It's possible they'll even go after the October highs too, the great October highs. So those who were born in the Soviet Union will get my jokes. So these two extremes, 1.16568 and 1.16888, should be broken. There might be an opportunity today, maybe on the preliminaries, but it's non-farm. I don't expect much volatility from the Humor Agency and DEPI, but volatility does happen. But not much. What's really nice, is that just yesterday there was a very interesting test, and not just once, but actually more than once. I thought everyone would have already gotten shaken out by now, but no. This breakdown held, and those who bought from it, even during the European session, well, they're already up by 12 or 13 points. Now that's 450, 34-1, and I think that's not all yet. The move that should happen, the backup plan for going long was set a bit lower than the current level. But for now, it's not really relevant, because we're currently working with the upper level and waiting for a breakout to occur, which could potentially happen soon. At the very least, we're looking for a breakout of yesterday's high and at most, the weekly extremes. It's possible that here, the euro-dollar pair will break its short trend that has been ongoing since September.
Looking for real trading advantages? Forex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. On major currency pairs, our conditions are better. Lower spreads and only $5 commission instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to the market review.
The British pound-dollar pair is mirroring the euro-dollar pair. Let me remind you that these two instruments are connected by the US dollar, and it compared to the previous instrument. There isn't such a technically perfect setup here actually, but it could happen, it really could happen. And last trading week was, in fact, a great and significant engulfing of targets overall. True, there aren't any perfect setups here, but I think this instrument will mirror the previous one. The Australian dollar has also rewritten a lot. It has broken through the November highs. It's going up, but we weren't given a chance to buy from the long break of the shorts. For now, I don't really see anything particularly interesting here, except perhaps this one. But it's still quite a distance away, so for now, we'll skip this instrument.
I also want to remind you that every Forex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review.
Dollar Canadian. Dollar Canadian is currently approaching a test of the long break. There were short breaks that haven't been tested yet on the 4-hour, and it's a bit odd, of course, that they left a double top, so we'll keep an eye on this instrument. Maybe it'll continue to rise even further, but you should only consider buying above the breakout of this high. That is, if theoretically we get a long impulse at some point, then on a pullback, which might not even happen, you can jump into a long if you don't miss it. That's the kind of trading we have, my dear friends. Now, as you can see, let's switch to the dollar yen. The dollar yen has also settled its little Japanese buns at the highs right now. The test of the short breakdown happened just as I promised yesterday. It's possible that we're witnessing a global weakening of this instrument because there are already two short breakdowns in play. Look, here's the first one and here's the second. So there was a crash at the beginning of the week, a test, and now we're really pressing on the lows. This isn't very good. If the week closes short, then this will be confirmed both on the inside as well. And all these bars, as you can see, and one of the hypothetical scenarios is a potential collapse of the instrument. The lows of 2024 to 2025. That's the 139.50 level, to use the old Russian trader slang. As for oil, friends, the crude is just sitting and waiting. Basically, there hasn't been a first shot, no initial moves yet. So it's neither rising nor falling. And this instrument is waiting for volatility to appear. Interesting, but for now, I wouldn't trade it.
With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit, with no extra conditions.
Bitcoin, it's gone to the moon. Didn't test the small long break on the 15-minute or the 4-hour charts, but it did test the big long break on the 4. And those who stocked up here have already made a respectable profit, a solid gain of 10% at least. This was a good spot to go long from here. Initiative, pull back to the long break. And we're growing. How long can we keep rising? The answer lies in the statements of the greatest trader of the century, Robert Kiyosaki, who is expecting $1 million for some kind of unclear crypto nonsense. Seriously though, that's it for now. Let's switch over to the S&P 500. The American stock market is rising, the S&P 500 is up, the Nasdaq is up, everything is going up. Well, as is usually the case, there has been no entry for us here for 40 years. That is, the instrument rose very suddenly without allowing the long break to be tested. Well, as they say, let it continue to grow. Dollar franc. The dollar franc is the most murky instrument of all that we currently have. The week before last, he generated a magnificent long break. Last week gave us an inside bar at the highs, which is not very good. And now the instrument is rolling back. What can you rely on in your attempts to go long? There are two options. Option number one is Friday's pin bar. If you believe in longs, then you can set your stop behind it. And option two is technically more competent. This is relying on the long breakout that happened in mid-November. You can also buy from here. If it doesn't work out, it will be a collapse. And there's no point in holding here.
We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex.
So after the Canadian franc, I'm interested in what's next. The grid trading method. I'm interested in instruments at the year's lows. If they break through, set up a grid of limit buy orders with a 500 step. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar is rising, which is good news for those who want to sell it. By the way, it's climbing to the top of its multi-year range. That is, in these zones, it has often been regularly reversed. Take note, it flew up here. See how far it went. It would shoot up by 3,000, then drop back down. Here too, it would spike by 2,000 or 3,000, then fall. If it breaks this year's high, you can also accumulate positions here, 2, 3, even 5,000 points, then expect a good pullback. It's excellent for grid trading, that's all. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.